A very beautiful morning, beautiful souls, and beautiful empaths. This is Denzomos, and I welcome you to the page of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the page of breaking empaths free. So for the ones who are just finding my page, and it's your first time logging in and narcissism resonates with you, I invite you and I welcome you to like the page, share and subscribe. And then for those that have always been with me, I also welcome you back to this page, and I thank you for your continued love and support. Now, for the ones who've been with me last week, you know very well that I initiated a project, which project I called the EMPATHS Speak Out Project. So in that project, I've been encouraging people, especially victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse, to come out and speak. And I've been encouraging people who don't have platforms, especially people who don't have platforms and they can't put it out there online. I've encouraged people to come out and speak, because it is one of those things that can help you as you're healing. It's part of the healing. Speaking can be therapy. It's part of the healing process. So I'm encouraging people to come out of the closet and start to speak against abuse. The more we speak, the more we silence these abusers, and the more we find the solution to the unending torture of narcissistic abuse. So basically, last week I had one victim who decided to stay anonymous. I read the story out to you guys. Now, this week, I have somebody new. Her name is Phillip. Phillip agreed that I will share and I will disclose her identity, her names. And Phillip sent me her story recently, and I'm going to read out the story to you today in this video. For those of you who are ready, I can't wait for this. Let's go. So Philip starts out the story with a Bible verse from Mark chapter 10, verse 25. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man who places his faith in wealth or status to enter the kingdom of God. And no one loves the pleasures of the material world as much as the malignant narcissist. My name is Philip. I live in Maine, which is a state in the United States just below Canada on the East Coast. I'm originally from Mississippi. Just preceding Hurricane Katrina, my sister and my best friend had just died, and I was somewhat in a vulnerable place. I was in a beautiful city of New Orleans quite a bit because I had always felt out of place in Mississippi. I'm kind of a square peg in a round hole anywhere I go. A kind of misfit, I suppose. While in New Orleans, I ran into a sociopath. I had no idea that he was one until much later on. He was working, of course, and I foolishly asked him to travel with me to California, because after all, I would be needing a roommate and needing someone to help me move. I was attending an alternative medicine school there. But what happened is that a number of violent incidents occurred. I was pinned up against a wall in the French Quarter, and the New Orleans police came by to see what was happening. The sociopath conned them into somehow believing I was the problem. A number of things like that happened, so I gradually felt mentally kidnapped. I know now they like to establish control. Job well done. We ended up in California. The crazy behavior continued. One atrocity after another. California law makes it very difficult to evict a roommate. Due to the continuing trauma, I started to disassociate. I could hear people asking me a question, but it was like it was being spoken through water, and I couldn't intelligently respond. I went to an energy healer, and she cleared that up. Much later on, I learned that a former victim of his permanently lost his sanity and was institutionalized in Connecticut. While I was disassociating, we went to a car dealership, and since I wasn't in my right mind, I let the car salesman and him talk me into signing for a Jeep Cherokee. When he got it, he instantly took off in it to work at a dive bar in Sacramento without ever making one payment on it. He later let a drug gang drive it, and they had a three-way accident on the interstate, totaling the vehicle beyond repair. The vibration of the people at the dive bar was on a prison criminal murderer level, a scary place, but that was his natural habitat. I was glad he was gone because he was bringing people into the house to have degenerate sex. The way I would describe him is that he has to be more animal than human. I called his mother, and she was giving me pity stories about how awful her son was. She was grooming me. She was worse than him, so I eventually went from the frying pan to the fires of hell. At this time, I started to find out that this guy was wanted in several states, and he was wanted in New Orleans for breaking into a business. I also learned he was on meth, alcohol, and other drugs. I don't call them drugs, I call them personality amplifiers, because they just amplify what is already there. I started going bankrupt, and like I mentioned earlier, I had been in communication with the sociopath's mother. She offered to let me live in Maine with her. I didn't have another viable option, so I took a plane to Maine. I arrived in Maine on the night of a near blizzard. When I got to her house in rural Maine and she opened the door, I was immediately taken back by her appearance. She had ginger hair and was nearly obese. There was a round table and she had quite a few elderly and handicapped people there. Over time, I began to see a lot of bullying, but for reasons of self-preservation, I kept quiet. Her and her lesbian partner were financially abusing and bullying these people, and they would pull clever baits and switches to con them out of money. They were such good con artists that they could con and mistreat these people, yet convince them that this was for their good. But soon, they turned their attention to me and started some underhanded methods to get money out of me. I had written them a $2,000 check to pay for oxygen for a dying man in the house. But the day afterwards, they crossed the line with me, and I reached over and dialed 911 to have the police come in and take this con operation down. But when the police came, they had everyone turn the police against me. I ended up living at a boarding house and later found an apartment. Never deceive yourself into thinking that they have the capacity for gratitude, because although I saved the sociopath's life from gang members in California and I paid $2,000 for oxygen for his mother's dying father, they never paid me a dime back, even though they pulled off a disability scam with the government, which netted them over $15,000. I was never paid back, but they sure were. Karma gave them several deliveries that they had to accept. They had a car accident, which gave them a back injury. One of them went into the basement and got her feet wet. She got an infection and lost half her foot. One had stomach surgery and nearly died. Afterwards, she lost her teeth and nearly died again. And on May 2nd, she finally passed away. I don't want to wish harm on anyone, but justice is always welcome. I try to warn them about living this way. Again, Mark chapter 10 verse 25. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man, malignant narcissist, to enter the kingdom of God. Best regards, Phillip in Maine. Thank you, Phillip, for sharing your experience with us. And I hope this will also inspire other people to come out of the closet and start speaking out. People, you need to speak out. Don't sit on your story. Your story makes a difference to other people around the world. There is people who want to hear what you have to say. And your story may also inspire other people to come out and speak. The more we speak, the more we put a silence to narcissistic abuse. Other than that, guys, it's been a lovely day having you guys on board. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you soon. Much love and blessings. Desmo signing out.